And a very good afternoon and evening to you, wherever you may be across the world. Welcome to the You ORNS Watford FC post-match. My name is Omar, coming to you live from San Francisco, California, a fellow Watford supporter, lifelong Watford supporter. And the final score today in North Wales was Wrexham 2, Watford 2. What a shame. What a shame. 3 points we had. Well, we almost had. And unfortunately, we could not get them at the very last minute. Well, into the late the late portion of extra time as the sign behind me falls on YouTube. I do hope that you are well. I am as sick as a dog after this one. I'm healthy, but sick as a dog after seeing us throw away priceless 3 points that we really should have got in this game. We did everything right second half, except for that moment late on in the 92nd minute that cost us 3 points today. Watford against Wrexham, 2-2 it was, a scrappy affair. Watford played well for the most part. I thought they had a really good away performance here. We were outplayed for much of the first half, but we regained our composure, slowly grew into the game. I thought that was good, and we methodically made good efforts, good decision-making, good passing. We got the goals that gave us the lead in the first half to go in at the lead up 1-2, but could not hold on, although we played a pretty darn good second half as well. I think the first 15 minutes, we were on the front foot throughout that first 15 minutes of the second half. But then, of course, as you would expect, the home team was going to respond somewhere along the line. Newly promoted Wrexham are not there for their health. They have played well this season. They are in and around us. And, of course, you expected a response. And that's exactly what they gave you, Wrexham. They kept going, and made a couple of changes, which I thought were good, smart substitutions from Javi. But we just could not get over the line there in that one moment. It's frustrating. It's difficult because we should have won this game. We were really, really, really close, but did not clear the ball properly. I think a couple of our lads actually jumped up at that shot that was taken, and the ball went underneath all of them. And an unsighted goalkeeper, obviously Selvik, who was, I thought, very good in his return, didn't see the ball, and the ball went past him. That's not Selvik's fault. The defending's got to be stronger. It was a good strike from the Wrexham player, but the bottom line is that we just did not finish this game off properly, and it's a shame because we did everything else right. It was a good away performance. On most nights, that's an away performance that will get you the 3 points, but you've got to make sure that you do that. And unfortunately, we just could not clear our lines effectively enough. And jumping up, I think several of our players in that shot jumped up at the end. And that's a real unfortunate thing. And we could not get those 3 points. We had 48% of possession, which is incredible because I thought we had a lot more than that. But Wrexham, obviously, in that second half, came on and did what they had to do, and they got the equalizer late. But listen, I've got no complaints about the performance today. I thought our lads acquitted ourselves very well. We were very judicious in the decision-making. I thought we were very purposeful. Our defensive transition was very good today. I liked the way that the defenders played individually for the most part. I know there was an error with Bowler not getting close enough to his man for the first Wrexham goal. And again, we fell behind, for the 5th or 6th game running. But I think overall, I thought we really acquitted ourselves well. It's a solid away performance. It's a shame we didn't get the 3 points. And of course, we now feel the way that Sheffield Wednesday felt back on Tuesday night when Wednesday was seconds away from getting 3 points at Vicarage Road. And listen, we had the same thing happen to us today against Wrexham out in North Wales, and we succumb to that late goal by a player who had just literally come on the pitch as a sub. That just makes you sicker as well as a Watford fan. He hadn't been on the pitch for more than 10 seconds, and he found himself a early Christmas present. And boom, that was that for Watford as Wrexham got the late equalizer. Wrexham, I think, probably deserved the goal because they kept pushing as they were going to. Watford did not deserve, though, to drop these points at the end like that. I would have taken that 2-2 had it come, say, in the 75th minute or so. But when you're so close to the finish line as we were today, it's very hard to be happy with the point there. I mean, you'll take the point, but Watford really a very tough one to take here. Javi Gracia gets sent off as well for good measure. So I think that's a one-game touchline ban for him, if I'm not mistaken, for the straight red card. So he will miss the next match, which I think is Watford versus Stoke. But this was a difficult one for Watford. We had 2 goals, I think, well-taken goals. One, of course, from Doumbia. Really strong strike from him. It was deflected in, but it was a fine goal from him. It was goal bound anyway, so it's his goal. I think it's his 3rd or 4th of the season now for Doumbia to make it a 1-1 score at that point. We got the lead through Marma. The ball passed along with a missed kick from Bola in that first half, and the ball found Marma all alone, close range from the right-hand side, past a goalkeeper into the back of the Wrexham net to make it a 2-1 lead. And Watford built on that well, I thought, going into the break, coming into the second half with some really renewed, reinvigorated purpose. Very pleased with how we maintained our poise away from home. Very pleased with the way that we dealt with situations away from home in the early portion of that second half. You have to be liking that from a Watford perspective. As a Watford supporter, you've got to be very pleased about that. The first 15 minutes of that second half, we had a very good, very strong start to it, and we played very well. As that "You ORNS" sign begins to fall, it's kind of like how we fell today late on in the game, but I'll fix the "You ORNS" sign for next time around. Forget that. Bottom line is that Watford today didn't win the game, but they didn't lose it. Tough one to take. Our poise was good. Our defending was good. There were moments in the first half where I had to see Luca not clear a ball with the bounce right in front of him. There was a little bit of hesitation from him. But our defense, I thought, overall today was much stronger. We had a bit more belief in ourselves overall, up and down the pitch. I thought Max Lane was terrific today. James Abankwah, terrific today. And Matty Pollock, again, doing yeoman's work there in the back line as well. And look, I think overall, it's a performance to be proud of, a point that we should have had 3 of. But listen, a point you'll take away from a Wrexham side that are very difficult to beat at home. I think they've only had 1 defeat at home this season, just like us. Wrexham have been a very difficult customer to deal with, and to be in front as long as we were is a credit to the tactics of Javi. We made, 2 or 3 changes today. I think the tactics were absolutely spot on. We executed the tactics well. I thought our transition defensively was terrific. It was one of the best defensive transition performances I've seen away from home this season from us. I thought that we were very good off the ball. I think our decision making again was smart today. It was considered, careful. We were really good in our possession. I loved the way we possessed the ball today. You know, a lot of times we have 70% or 68% possession, but we don't do anything with it, right? I've complained about that a lot as a Watford supporter this season. But even though we had 48% of the possession today, I thought we did a lot of good things with it. I thought we were very smart with it. I thought it was a really good performance in the way that we possessed the ball. We were disciplined. We kept the ball well. Our shape was very good. This was a very good away performance today. Very good. And sometimes you just don't get all 3 points from performances like this. But the bottom line is that I'm very pleased with how we acquitted ourselves. Obviously, at the end of the game, it's a bitter pill to swallow. You're literally, 4.5 minutes or so away from getting really 3 strong points. But again, when you've got 5 or 6 minutes of added time, anything can happen. And that's when you really have to be switched on and nailed on. But we didn't get it done there. But listen, it's a point. You can't take that away from from us. On YouTube, the comments coming in. Brown Electron says, missed the game, but I've just seen they've scored to make it 2-2. Yeah, Brown, unfortunately, Wrexham scored late, 91st, 92nd minute goal. We are now, Watford, in the bottom half of the table as a result of that late goal. Had we scored, had we kept it the way it was, Brown, we would have been in the top 9 or 8. We would have been ninth in the table had we been able to keep Wrexham off the score sheet there in the second half. So, Brown, thank you for the comment. The Watford Way on YouTube says, feel a bit gutted, but after that, missed opportunity. Watford Way, I feel exactly the same, and I'm sure many other Watford fans do as well. We really missed an opportunity there late. But again, as I said, Watford Way earlier, before you made the comment, or maybe you made the comment as I was saying this, Watford did the same thing to Sheffield Wednesday the other day. So we feel the same way Wednesday did 4 days ago. Watford in 13th at the moment on 29 points. That is where we are, bottom half of the table. So we're still roughly 3 or so points away from the playoffs, 2 points away from the playoffs at the moment. So we're still in and around the playoffs, but still, again, in 13th place. Don't let the position deceive you. You've got to look at the points right now. The position in the table, to me, is not as big a deal. What you want to look at now are the points, where we are points-wise. And we're roughly 2 points off the playoffs, somewhere around 2 points or so off. And so we're still in good shape. We've played, 21 games of the season, so we are approaching the halfway mark. There's still lots of room for improvement from us. We still have to take a lesson out of the game today, which is game management in the late stages of a game. That's the lesson we'll have to take away. But we did everything else right today, and I'm very, very pleased with how we acquitted ourselves. Obviously, the result, a bitter pill to swallow, but we will grow from this and we will learn from this. It's a good away performance, solid, disciplined, decisive, really good. We took more of our chances going forward, which I thought was refreshing. But the bottom line is we get the point. Wrexham obviously are going to be very pleased with that point. Watford, not so much. But I am pleased with the way we performed today because Tuesday at the Vic, we were awful. And despite having all these opportunities, we did not play well against Wednesday in that game the other day. And after a poor performance like that, you knew, or at least you hoped as a Watford supporter, that the boys would be a lot stronger and effective today. And they were. They were a lot stronger. They're a lot more effective today. You have to look at that. So we made a progression in that standpoint. The only problem is we didn't get the 3 points. This would have been a very strong week for us. Even if we had got the points today, all 3 of them, it would have been a very good week. It would have been, even with the late goal against Wednesday. Look, sometimes you're going to get these kinds of results, but it is another dropped 2 points. And so you look at these 2 games in 4 days, right? 2 games in 5 days or whatever it is, 2 games in 5 days. And that's 4 drop points from positions, at least in this game, where we should have won. The game against Wednesday, we were not good at all. We got a late rescue from Semedo that night, and tonight we had the same thing done to us in similar fashion. And so there we go with that. Now, reading out your comments on YouTube, and those of you on X, please continue to listen. Thank you very much indeed. Subscribe to the You Orns Watford FC YouTube channel, if you would, at youornswfc. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you want to make a comment on X, you're more than welcome to do that verbally or by typing in your comment, which I will read out as well. Somebody has just done that. I will read out your comment shortly. When I go to YouTube, Matt, hello to you, Matt, on YouTube. Great to have you aboard once again. Hey, Omar, says Matt, what's your thoughts on the Moore first half high foot tackle on Pollock? Do you think it should have been a yellow or a red? Because we've seen tackles like that get red cards before. For me, I thought that should have been as it was. I'm going to be really frank and straight up with you as ever, Matt, and with all Watford supporters. That's a yellow card for me. There was no malicious intent there. And although intent is not the issue, you can see that they both were not really paying attention to each other. I thought that it was a fair challenge. It should definitely have been a yellow, and I have no problem with that. And I know that you're absolutely right, Matt. These get given. They do get given a lot of times as reds in the Premier League. That might have been a red card. And it was it was high, but I don't think he should have been sent off for it. So that's my honest assessment, Matt. I think the referee did the smart thing there, just like he did with the Mark Bowler situation. Listen, if he had sent off Kiefer Moore in that situation, no relation to me, my last name is Moore as well, but if he had sent off Kiefer Moore there, you better believe, Matt, he would have sent off Mark Bowler. He would have absolutely sent Mark Bowler off for his challenge, even though he got the ball first. Because you'll have Wrexham fans there, Matt, going, well, they should have sent Bowler off for his challenge. And Bowler's challenge, I had no problem with either. Bowler went for the ball, he got the ball, and yeah, it was late. It was late. The follow through was a little late. So that's the issue. I know that Kiefer Moore didn't get the ball, but I thought that that was a fair 50-50 challenge in that situation. I think at the time, Matt, Wrexham were up 1-0. I will add that to the mix as well. So my answer to you is it's a fair yellow card. I do not think Kiefer Moore should have been sent off. And again, as well, to add to that for any Wrexham fan who might be watching this, I don't think Bowler should have been sent off either. The referee did a decent job today, and I think he made the right moves with all of the moves, particularly in them two situations with Moore and Bowler. Bowler got the ball. It was a fair challenge. You follow through a little bit late, but listen, it was in the spirit of that getting the ball and his momentum in the follow through. So I've got no problem with that. A yellow card was deserved, and he got it. And I think the referee did the smart thing in this game, kept the red cards away, except for Javi, who got one. The only red card of the day was from the Watford head coach, who ended up getting sent off in injury time. So I think, as I said earlier, it's going to probably be a one-match touchline ban for our head coach. But bottom line is Watford get the point today when they should have perhaps, I think, got three. Watford Way's comment, what did you think about a banquet today? Now, Watford Way, great question. I mentioned earlier before your question, I thought a banquet did very well today. Solid performance. He has not got a lot of playing time, but with Kevin beginning to show signs of not being quite the player he had been at the beginning of the season, a banquet's had his chance. I think it's his first or second start in consecutive games, perhaps, maybe, or maybe his first start in recent weeks, if I remember correctly, Watford Way. And I thought a banquet acquitted himself well. I thought he defended his position well. I thought he was good off the ball. He made good decisions. I thought his defensive transition was very good. There were a couple of moments that I'm thinking of now where a banquet recovered his defensive position very well and then was able to shepherd the ball and bring it under control and then bring the ball up the pitch and make a wise decision with a good pass. That is how you complete a really good defensive transition play. And Banquet did that on at least 2 occasions today. And I was very pleased overall, Watford Way, with his performance. So thank you for asking that question. That is my response to you, Watford Way, on James Abankwah. If anyone would like to comment on James Abankwah, you're more than welcome to do so. Watford Way, you included. I'd like to hear what you had to say about James Abankwah today and anyone else in a Watford shirt. What did you think of the performance, the tactics? Did you think that Javi got them right? I think he did. The 4-4-2 was in full effect today, it looked like to me. Marma was lively. Kuram Gore, to me, a little bit off the pace. Look, I know the service wasn't there, but I think Luca has to be stronger holding up the ball in these games. And Brown Electron's right on cue asks on YouTube, how did K9 play? I was really disappointed with his performance against Wednesday. I was too against Wednesday, and I was not very pleased today with Luca either. And I know the service was at a premium today for the Watford front too. But Brown, I really do think that Luca's got to have a bit more teeth in some of these games and some of this play. There were a couple of defensive moments where the ball's bouncing right in front of Luca in his own 6-yard box, and he hesitates. He literally hesitates. I guess he's expecting another Watford player to clear it, but you have got to clear the ball. You have got to clear the ball. And it didn't cost us in that moment. Obviously, later on, we got a real hard lesson about that. But you've got to clear the ball, and Luca defensively today was not good. It was not good. There were 2 opportunities I saw with him with that situation, and Brown, he did not clear the ball. The ball bounced. It was his to clear, and he hesitated at it. You could actually see him stop. Not good. Not good. And I think a Watford player or a Wrexham player hit the ball and thankfully missed the mark, did the Wrexham player. But Luca is going to have to get stuck in defensively, and I don't see him doing that very often. He's got to be able to hold up the ball a lot better with a lot more conviction and strength. And he's got to put himself about. That's my complaint about Luka. He's a good goal scorer. He's got 6 goals this season or whatever it is. But my only criticism of him is he needs to put himself about more, and he doesn't. And he's got to be more physical in this championship. He's learning that the championship is very physical. Maybe that's not his game, but he's got to add that to his game. Just because a striker may be a finesse striker, and I think Luke is more of a finesse striker, a finesse finisher, doesn't mean you can't get physical and adopt that side to your play. You can make yourself a lot more troublesome as a striker if you add dimensions to your game. Obviously, goal scoring is important, but you've got to add a level of physicality in the championship. And Luka's got to learn that, I would have said this if Watford had won this game today. I would have said this if Watford had lost this game today. Luka has got to be more physical, a more aggressive physical player. Doumbia is physical and he is aggressive and he does put himself about. He's a lean, lanky player, but Doumbia is a physical and rough diamond of a player. And he's not afraid to get stuck in there. He's not afraid to hold up the ball and be physical and provide an outlet pass. He's not he's not a player that's going to shrink from that. And I think Doumbia is 19 or 20 years old. Luka's around the same age, 20, 21, 22, whatever, but Luka's got to get more physical, I really want to see that from Luka. So that's my comment to you, Brown, on that. Brown adds, we need a fearless leader, Helgeson type forward. K9 ain't doing it for me at the moment. I'll give him more time, but he needs to step up. Brown, 100%. I agree with you on that comment you just made. You echoed exactly what I've been saying here the last 2 or 3 minutes. He is not doing. Listen, he's scoring the goals, which we love that. No problem with that. But he's got to assert himself physically off the ball. That's where Luka's play has to improve. He's got to improve his off the ball play. Off ball, show me something. Off ball, hold up the ball. Off ball, continue to make the aggressive runs. I know you need service. I know that. But you've got to be busy. That's one of the thankless things about being a striker is you've got to make all the running, and you may only get 6 touches in the whole game. I don't know how many touches Luka got today. There were moments where he played the outlet pass well, and he provided himself as an outlet. And I thought he did that well. But when it comes to being in the final third, he did not hold the ball well. He did not present himself physically well. He did not present himself aggressively as a physical player. And when I say aggressively, I'm not saying you have to knock people over. I'm saying that you have to just get into your position and stand your ground. Hold your ground, man. Hold your ground and get physical. And that's what Luka lacks for me as a striker. Again, he can score goals, and I love him to keep doing that. But he's got to add stuff to his game. He's got to add the physicality to his game. He can be a really dangerous striker for us if he adds a level of physicality and aggression to his play. And then that becomes a real headache because when you're playing a 4-4-2, you've got a player who's physical, can hold up the ball, and then he can also create space for his partner up front, and he can be a decoy. He can do all kinds of things, and that opens up your strike force. It opens up the pitch. So for me, that's my complaint about Luka. Otherwise, he scores goals. Now, bottom line is that, look, I think he'll improve, but I think we might need to make a move in January. Who knows, to get another striker in here. I hate to say that because, of course, we've got, 4 strikers? But, for me, Luka, I want him to add that to his game. Now, look, I'll read out on X your comments. I'll come back to you on YouTube in just a moment. You are watching the You ORNS Watford FC post-match with yours truly, Omar, here in San Francisco, California. It's a little bit cold here early in the morning, but I bet it's a lot colder in the United Kingdom. I think that is probably a safe bet. I'm going to read out your comments on X, and here they are. No playoffs this year, says Brad, and bring on Sissoko and Kevin is the worst decision. That was Brad there on X. Thank you, Brad, on X for listening and for your comments. And let me address those because I do respond to comments on X as well as on YouTube. Remember, you can also get on the microphone on X as well if you'd like, and we will listen to what you have to say as well. So Brad says bringing on Sissoko and Kevin is the worst decision. Well, I think from a game management point of view, I don't think it's problematic so much. I know they've both not been great this. Well, I shouldn't say that about Kevin. Sissoko has not been great this season. Kevin has recently has fallen on a bit of the hard times, if you will. But I don't have a problem, Brad, with bringing them on there in a late game situation. I would not say that is what cost Watford the 3 points. I think in that moment, Brad, what Javi's trying to do is just bring on some fresh legs and bring on a bit more game management and reinforcement. And I think he brought them in, what, 85th minute, 84th minute, wherever it was in the game, 87th. I don't think that that's the problem. I just think we need to switch on. We need to be able to switch on in these games from minute 1 to minute 97. And then that's it. And I apologize if there's any visual or visual issues on YouTube with any of the audio. My profound apologies there. If you're having an issue either seeing or hearing me on YouTube at the moment, the picture has been freezing up a little bit. But I do hope that you can hear me and see me here on YouTube. But Brad, I hear your comment though. I understand what you're saying, but for me, the manager in that situation is doing a bit of game managing, bringing on some fresh legs, bringing on a veteran for leadership, and bringing on really who has been really for the most part over the last season and a half your best defender. And I know he's been not at his best lately, Kevin, but I think that's what the manager was looking at, and that's what he was trying to do. But listen, thank you for the comment, Brad, on X as ever. And Brad also says no playoffs this year. I want to repeat that comment as well from Brad. Brad, you know what? The way we've been playing these games suggests that you may well be right. I think you're right about this, Brad. I predicted they'd make the playoffs before the season began, but I didn't say anything more than that. I made that prediction in late July that Watford would make the playoffs based upon what we'd done recruiting wise, based upon the looks of us. I said playoffs before the season began. And Brad, in his comment on X here, has said no playoffs this year. And I think Brad might be right. We're not quite at the halfway point of our season, but I think Brad might be right. We have given away too many games. Too many games. We played poorly against Wednesday on Tuesday. And we played very well today, for the most part, against Wrexham, a very strong away performance, but we cannot finish these games. And it's that kind of thing that is the difference between finishing 8th or 7th and finishing in the top 6. Think of all the games that we have come up just short in or have blown a lead in. It's really, really poor, and it's going to cost us. Our defending and our late game management is going to cost us. And I'm not going to say that I predict no playoffs. I'm not going to say that because I'm going to stick with my prediction of playoffs. But what I am saying is Brad's comment of no playoffs this year may well be correct. May well be correct. Now, Brad, I'm sure you're basing this on what you've seen these first 21 or so games. You're basing this on what you saw today. Had we got a result today that favored us and we got the 3 points, I'm wondering if you would have made that comment. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But you can only comment on what you're seeing. And I take Brad's point. It's possible that Brad might be right. What say you, fellow Watford supporters? I'm going to stick with playoffs. I'm going to stick with that. Remember, we've still got injuries. We've still got Vata out long term. We've still got Quadro Bar out for a few more weeks, hopefully sometime in the new year, early on. That's what we're looking at. But remember, we've also got Jack Greaves has been out for a long time. And I think there's one other player that's been out for a long time. So, we've got to look at all these things. But Brad says on X, no playoffs this year. We'll see if you are correct, Brad, about that. Thank you for your comments. Brad on X. Let's read out the rest of them on YouTube because there's a lot of them coming in now. Do you know why Javi was sent off? Asked the Watford Way. Was watching on iFollow and it wasn't made clear. Is it a one-game ban? First of all, it is a one-game ban. He will be not in the dugout, if you will. He will not be on the touchline, Watford Way, for the match against Stoke, which I believe is our next match at Vic. And so that I can confirm for you. Do I know why he was sent off? No. What I would guess, and it's only a guess at this point, Watford Way, is that Javi was sent off probably for something that he said to either the fourth official or to the referee, or both. That's really the only educated, well, it's not even an educated guess. That's the only guess that I can make at it. And it's hard when that happens. And iFollow, and whether you're watching it on wherever platform you're watching it across the world, it's not easy to discern what it is that causes a manager to be sent off. But obviously, it's that I would imagine that it's the magic words. And maybe Javi said one too many of the magic words, aka swear words, to one of the linesmen, maybe to the referee himself, most likely, or perhaps to the fourth official. And then, one too many of those and you're gone, and that's what happens in these games now. The managers get sent off. And so he was sent off. It took forever for him to get out around the pitch and into wherever he had to go to. And then the bottom line is Watford had that cross late on, and they made a last-ditch attempt to try to get something going, but it did not happen for the Golden Boys there late. But listen, we got a point. I think when we look back at this game, as agonizing as it is in the moment, we'll be pleased that we did get that point, because we deserved at least a point from the game. When we got that, we just should have got all three. Now, that's really the issue there. But that's my response to you, Watford Way. Thanks for the question, as ever. Matt says, yeah, for me, Kuram Gore needs to be a bit stronger at holding the ball up so he can get players around him for support when he's up the pitch alone, when the ball is cleared. Yep, Luka needs to improve that. That is something that he's going to have to improve in his game. And I don't know if they're working on that on the training pitch. I would imagine that they are. And Luka's going to have to assert himself more. And in games where he's not scoring goals, he has to assert himself. I know it's a very thankless task for a striker to be, whether you're in a two or whether you're alone up top, it's a thankless task. But that's what you train for, and that's what you do. And when he puts the ball in the back of the net, it's fantastic. It's great. But you've got to add more to your game dimensionally. When you're not scoring, you've got to be more physical. When you are scoring, you've got to be more physical. I mean, you just have to in the championship. This is not a finesse league. Luka would really thrive in a La Liga situation, right? If he's in La Liga in Spain or in Serie A in Italy, he will thrive there, because the emphasis there is not on physicality so much, right? But in England, especially in the championship, physicality is really one of the main fronts in the game. And these games are refereed sometimes horribly, often horribly, and sometimes the referee lets you play. And today was one of them when the referee, I think, was pretty bloomin' balanced, and he let us play, but he also blew the whistle where it needed to be blown. And I think the referee was good today. I got no problem with the ref. But Luka, as you've said, Matt, and as Brown has said, needs to be a lot stronger. When he's off the ball, when he's on the ball, he's just got to assert himself and make himself a more physical presence. And if he can do that, he's going to be, I think, a really effective striker. And he's going to be someone who can vary and diversify our offensive attack. You've got to add that to your game. Doumbia has that. He has a bit of physical about him, Doumbia. He'll go flying in games. And he won't be reckless, but he will make a presence of himself out there. He will absolutely establish physicality, and he can unsettle defenses. And he does that very well. Luka doesn't unsettle defenses so much. He's much more of a guy where the ball has to come into him and play him in, and then he can make something happen. He's much more of a player, I think, as a striker, Luka, who benefits off of set pieces, benefits off of the final ball running in along off the shoulder. He's like that, but he's not the kind of striker who's going to be up in the air challenging for balls as much. He's not going to be putting his head in dangerous places. He's not going to be that striker who scares defenses with a physical presence that he has. Doumbia does all of that. Doumbia really does that well. He really does. Doumbia is going to be somebody when he's off the ball, he's going to make his presence felt. He's going to be in the build-up play. He's going to be making the run. He's going to be in the box. He's going to hold up the ball. I mean, I love Doumbia like that. Doumbia, and I think he's off the African Cup of Nations. I'm not sure. Maybe not. I think Doumbia and Mama did not get selected. I'll have to check that. I have to check that. I might be wrong about that. But the bottom line is that Doumbia really does have that physicality and presence. He doesn't have quite as many goals as Luka, but he does bring you a good physical presence out there. And he's very deceptive because he's fast, he's quick, he makes the wise decision, and he's very deceptive as a player, but he's also physical and he's not afraid to get involved in that. So Luka needs to really adopt a lot of what Doumbia is doing. And I get it. Sometimes you've got two different strikers up there, finesse versus physicality. We've seen this before. If you look at Dini and Vidra, remember that combination in the 4-4-2? You had that in when what's his name? Forget the manager's name. Who brought us up? Forget his name. Slavon. Not. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. But the man who got us promoted in 2015. You know his name. I just don't remember his name at the moment. It's having a senior moment here. But the man that got us promoted again, when we had Brighton against Watford 10 years ago now, in that late April match, I think, against Brighton. There's a physical striker and a finesse striker, right? Dini was the physical striker. Vidra was more of the finesse guy, little and large, right? But Vidra also got physical at times in games. And we need that more from Luka as well. I think that Luka can really prosper and really diversify his game and be a real threat if he learns to be a bit more physical in the box and outside the box. Like I say, it's not just in the box play. It's outside the box play, the hold-up play, the build-up play. Let the ball stick to you, Luka. Fight for the ball. One of the things about him, and I don't want to turn this into a bash Luka post-match, but it's just about the little things that players can do up and down the pitch that can make them not only more effective, but much more dangerous and much more diversified in their attributes. And I hope that, and I think Luka can do this, and I think he will end up doing this. Hopefully he will. I hope that Luka can become a bit more physical. It might take some time, but look, the bottom line is that he was a no-show for much of the game today. He was. And again, you can say service all you want, and we all can understand that. But he was much the no-show today for me. That's just me. Just one opinion. Matt says, thank you very much, Matt, for your comments as ever. For everybody commenting here on the You ORNS Watford FC post-match, welcome to it. My name is Omar, here in San Francisco, California, for this post-match here, the You ORNS post-match after Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Again, Omar here, and also on X as well. It's been a very disappointing finish for us today because we blew an opportunity to get 3 points that would have brought us into the top 9 had we been able to hold off Wrexham for 5 more minutes. But that was not to be today, and we end up with the 2-2 draw. So Matt says, from the FOTMob score app I use, it says Kieran Gore had 32 touches. I'm actually surprised, that he had that many touches. If that app that you're using there, Matt, is correct. Because to me, he looked very much on the outside looking into this match. But you know what? Again, sometimes you can have a lot of touches in a game, Matt, but really not have any effect on the game at all. And there is a difference between having lots of touches in a game, right, and having and being a no-show versus having lots of touches in the game and not scoring, but being effective in a game. And Watford have players who do both. You've got Doumbia, who I thought was effective today. He scored, was a presence in the game, had lots of touches. But then you have someone like Kieran Gore, had lots of touches perhaps, but was not effective in the game. And that's something that you've got to really look at here as far as I'm concerned. Watford unbeaten now in their last 3 games, only 1 defeat in their last 9, and yet we are actually 5 points off the playoffs. So let me get that correct. 5 points off the playoffs. Now, I should just make that very clear to you. I apologize for the incorrect assessment I made earlier, that we were about 2 points off. We are 5 points off the playoffs today. Now, let's look at the stats from BBC Sports match stats on Wrexham versus Watford. Wrexham 52% possession. We had 48%. Wrexham's XG, that would be expected goals, 1.22. Watford's XG, 0.83. Wrexham 16 shots. We had 12 shots, 3 shots on target each. Touches inside the opposition's box. Wrexham 33. Watford had 13. 1 goalkeeper save each. Aerial duels, 128-27 in favor of us. Fouls committed, we had 1 less foul committed, so we won that battle there, 9 against 10. 7 corners for Wrexham, only 1 for us. 7 corners for Wrexham, only 1 for us. See, that's where Wrexham deserved the point, because Wrexham did force a lot of corners in that second half, especially late on. Wrexham 16 shots on attack, 12 shots for us. That's a total number of shots each. So shots off target, 8 for them, 3 for us. Hit the woodwork, Wrexham once. We did not hit the woodwork. Wrexham 5 total offsides. We only had 1 offside today. And in the last 2 matches, we've only been offside once. So we held our position well. Total number of passes for them, 453 for us, 434. Passing accuracy, we win that. 74.9% to 74% for Wrexham. Look, we did a good job today. We did a good job. We had 6 yellow cards. They had 3. Bottom line is, I think that's a good, if you look at the statistics, that's a good away performance. It's a good away performance. Just really frustrating we couldn't get 3 points now. We are 5 points off the playoffs. Teams in and around us, we have been getting points against draws. Bristol City, draw. Southampton. Stoke City is our next opponent, right? We've got Stoke next. I think we beat QPR. Didn't we play QPR this season? I don't even know. I don't even remember if we played QPR yet this season. But we've got teams in and around us that we're going to be fighting with for the playoffs. Hull City are the last playoff spot. They're in 6th on 34 points. And I think on form, we've been good. If you look at our form, I'm not talking about the performances on form. We've lost just 1 of our last 9. So we now need to be in a position to turn these draws, obviously, into 3 points. That's what we need to do. We've now drawn, I think, our last 2 games, maybe our last 3 games, maybe our last 2. I don't even remember now. We drew this game. We drew the game against Wednesday. We won the game against Norwich. So we've drawn our last 2. We've been unbeaten now in our last 3 and just 1 defeat now in our last 9. That's a good form-wise. That's good. But performance-wise, we've been up and we've been down. Performance-wise, on Tuesday, we were very poor. Performance-wise today, Saturday, very good. Very good. It's just the final detail of the very good performance that we did not execute on today in a proper manner, and that came late. And as a result, we have only a draw to look at today. And again, I think if you look at the replays of the late goal for Wrexham, some of our lads jumped up off the pitch, off the ground, and that space helped allow the ball to ricochet, go right through a bunch of players. Maybe we defended a little bit deep. I don't know if that's the reason. I have to look at it again, and I can look at it again. Take a look at the replays and look at the whole game. But we just did not do what we needed to do there. We should have tried to put a body in front, and there were lots of bodies in front of the goal. The danger is if you are defending deep, and if that's what happened to my memory, you can have an unsighted goalkeeper and anything goes with that last shot. It can ping pong, it can ricochet, it can rebound off a player and go into the back of the net. That's true at the best of times. At the worst of times, when you've got a box packed with Watford defenders and you're defending deep like that, and we were fairly deep, I think, at that point, you run the risk of something like this happening. Could we have dived? Could we have got a body in front and tried to dive in front of it? Yeah, but there's a risk you handball it there, and you don't want to give away a penalty at the death either. Um, Look, I'll have to go look at that final shot that led to the goal, the final goal, to see if we could have done anything differently. Sometimes you just can't do anything differently there. Sometimes you can't. If you're getting a ball put at you at pace, it's hard to do unsighted. Goalkeeper's not his fault. Selvik, I thought, performed very well today in his first game back. Made some incredible saves. There was an offside against Wrexham when they thought they had equalized earlier in the match. That was a warning sign for us. And in that sequence, Selvik made a magnificent save. So again, I don't really have a problem with the performance. And even at this stage now, the result, as tough as it can be and is, I don't have a problem with it. Wrexham definitely kept coming at us. We suffered well in the second half. It was just that last detail that we did not get that would have, that cost us at the end there. I'm going to read out more of your comments on YouTube because they are coming in compared to the amount of touches. Matt says that Doumbia had 46 touches in this game, according to what Matt is saying. Again, I'll have to go and look at this independently. That is what Matt says there. Brown says, I think we will finish 9th. Now, these comments were made a good little while ago in response to what Brad on X had said. And Brad had said that he thought that Watford were not going to make the playoffs this year. That was his prediction after watching this game. I predicted from before the season starting that Watford would make the playoffs. I would not go any further than that. And I still think Watford will make the playoffs. It's just about sorting out these details in our performances. We were much better today than we were on Tuesday against Wednesday, but we were not better in terms of closing down the game at the very last moments in that injury time. We did not do a good enough job. It was that one moment where we just did not get it done. And listen, it's a shame. It's hard luck because I thought we were very good away from home today. We did everything right, back to front, defensively, on the ball, off the ball, in possession, out of possession. We did as well as you could do away from home, one of our really strong away performances, but we just could not get that final detail right in the very end. And so, Brown, thank you for your remark. And Brown continues, we are missing Vata big time. He was playing his best football before the injury happened. Yeah, he was. And I think the lack of elasticity, if you will, Brown, with Vata being out, costs us. We lack a bit of pace down that side now. And don't forget also, Bar being out too is a big issue there because that also is a pace aspect as well. He can play left, he can play right, Bar can. So both Bar and Vata being out really does hurt us because we don't have that same kind of pace and elasticity going down that side. And I know Mama can provide it, but I don't think on the dead run that Mama is as effective with the ball as Bar and Vata are. They're much faster. Mama's fast. I'm not saying he's not, but if you're looking at ball carrying and absolute threats down that left side or right side, both of those players are faster and they can carry the ball really swiftly down that left side. Bowler can do it as well. He's very good at this too. He's not quite as fast as, say, Bar or Vata Bowler, but he has got quickness to him and he can put the ball in the box very well. And both Vata and Bar can do the same thing. Also, do that a little bit better than Mama. Mama is a very good technical player, and he's got good low center of gravity. He can run into space and he can carry the ball very well down the right side or the left. But I really do like what Vata brings and what Bar brings. And so I agree with you on that. Vata definitely is a miss. We don't know when he's coming back. It's a long-term situation. His hamstring injury is worse, apparently, than Bar's because we're hearing, as we've heard the last week or so, that Bar is likely to return sometime in the new year, in the early part of the new year. So I'm expecting sometime in January, really. I wouldn't expect it to be later than that. So Bar is on the way back, but Vat is going to be out for a considerably longer time, apparently. Although both of them we've heard over the last few days are both doing well in their recovery situations. So we might see that to come back before, say, the end of February. That would be fantastic if that could happen. But I don't know. I am not a physio at Watford and I'm not in the dressing room, so I don't know what the situation is. But I think that Barr, we've seen the reports from the Watford Observer and elsewhere that Barr could be back sometime in the new year, in the early part of the new year. So that's what we will look at there. Now, thank you, Brown, for the comment there on YouTube. I'm going to say goodbye to those of you on XX. Thank you so much indeed for those of you who have listened on X and contributed with comments. It's greatly appreciated. We're going to continue on YouTube with the remaining portion of the You Orns Watford FC post-match live on this match between Watford and Wrexham. It was played in Wrexham, so let's say Wrexham versus Watford. The final score there was at North Wales, Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Fantastic away performance by Watford, undone late on with a late strike by Rathbone off the bench for Wrexham to give Wrexham a share of the points at the end. And listen, I think the result at the end was probably the right result. You know, it's really sickening as a Watford supporter to see it happen in that way. But when you consider Wrexham owned lots of the first half, except for when we started to score the goals, and then Wrexham came on to us after we had a strong first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the second, it's probably about the right result. The manner of the result is what I have a problem with. It's the manner of the result. I don't have a problem with 2-2. I have a problem with how it got to 2-2 with that late equalizer. That's what I have the issue with. But we had a good performance there. So for those of you on X, I do want to say thank you again for listening. We'll be back again, of course, next weekend between Watford and Stoke. For those of you on X listening, that will be at Vicarage Road. That's coming up a week from today, the last game, I think, before Christmas, if memory serves me. Yes, that will be our last game before Christmas. So let's hope that Watford can get back on the right track and get a win here. We've not had a win these last two. But the bottom line is that Watford unbeaten now in our last three, and we've lost just once in our last 9. So Stoke, a team now, have been struggling a little bit after a strong start. Stoke now outside the playoffs. We need to win that game. Stoke had lost 3 consecutive games. They've got to win today, but we need to start getting points to push us up the table. It's so important now. We are getting toward the halfway point, and we need to start turning these draws into wins. That's it for those of you on X. Thank you very much for listening. We'll continue on YouTube now. That's it for those of you on X. Take care. And until next time, it's Omar on X saying, You ORNS. And we are back here on YouTube as Watford get a point against the likes of Wrexham today. The final score, as you know by now, is Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Boy, oh boy, really hard luck for Watford in the 92nd minute, I guess it was, where Rathbone scored, hitting the ball through a sea of Watford bodies, an unsighted Agil Selvik, and that was really how it ended. A late goal there for Wrexham in the 92nd minute. Rathbone breaking Watford hearts today with that one. But listen, again, it was like what happened on Tuesday. Again, we felt the same way that Sheffield Wednesday did on Tuesday. That's what happened. You know, we got a dose of that. You know, when we scored that goal late on Tuesday, we thought we'd won the game. It was a horrible performance, so I was happy for the point. And it was my birthday, by the way, back then on Tuesday of this week. But it was a poor performance by us. So even the point to me felt very hollow because Wednesday deserved to win the game. Today, the point does not feel hollow, but the feeling is sickening because, again, like Sheffield Wednesday fans on Tuesday night, it was a sickening feeling to see that late goal come in like it did today against us at Wrexham. So I'll read out your comments. Welcome again to this edition of the You ORNS Watford FC post-match on YouTube live here from San Francisco, California. It is cold. Ooh, it's a bit cold out here. Not as cold, I'm sure, though, as it is where you are if you're watching this in the United Kingdom or elsewhere. I hope that the weather will get warmer wherever you are across the world watching this. And thank you indeed for watching and joining. The You Orns sign has a little bit of a malfunction, wardrobe malfunction there, but we will be all right here. And Watford will be all right today. I want to ask you, and I'm going to read out your comments on YouTube here. And thanks for joining. Where do you think we're going to finish this season? Because on X, where we just did a simulcast on X, there was a Watford supporter there who said that we are not going to make the playoffs this season. He said, no playoffs this year. That was what he said. It was Brad on X who said that. And I responded to Brad and I said to him, look, you might be right. Because the way we played some of these games, and we've dropped a number of games at home, all these 1-1 draws at home. We've had 3 of them at home in the last few weeks. The game against Wednesday, the game against Bristol City, the game against Preston North End. All of those are games where arguably we could and should have won. Certainly the Wednesday game, we probably should have got a point out of anyway, but we should have won that game from the start. We didn't play well. The game against Preston North End, again, fell behind in that game as well. The game against Bristol City, we led in that game, could not get 3 points. The goalkeeper, Agil Sobek, that was his last game before today, really did not save a ball he should have saved from long range. But the bottom line is that we didn't get the 3 points in any of them games, and we get 9 points there. Obviously, things are a whole lot different. If we get the win here today, things are different. We're talking more about a 9th place situation being only 3 points off the playoffs. Instead, we are now 5 points off the playoffs, approaching the halfway point of the season. And, who knows? So do you think we are making the playoffs this season? I predicted before the season that we would. I'm sticking with that. I am curious to see and hear from you what you have to say. I'll be reading out your comments. Thank you very much for the Watford supporters. It's great to have you here on this edition of the You ORNS Watford FC post-match on YouTube now, exclusively after we let those on X go for the day. We'll go on here for another 10 minutes or so, so please do continue to make your comments. We'll be reading them out here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to the You ORNS Watford FC YouTube channel, which you are watching presently, and like these videos as well. I'll try to get back into the swing of doing all the other videos, which I normally do, but have not done lately, but I will get back to that. Just a lot going on, but I will make time and absolutely start posting a few more videos because that is what we need. And also on Substack, please subscribe there as well. It'd be great to have you as well on Substack. I will be writing right after this game, I promise, right after this post-match, because I need to be doing that. And so please subscribe on Substack. It'd be great to have you aboard there. I am about to put into the chat the address that you need to be subscribing to on Substack, and it would be greatly appreciated if you indeed do that, and I will pin that in the chat. So let me read out the rest of your comments here on the You ORNS Watford FC post-match live on YouTube, and here we go. Matt says, Omar, we have played QPR at home already this season on the 16th of August and won 2-1. Thank you. Matt, I thought that we had played them, but I wasn't really sure. 2-1 back on the 16th of August. Thank you, Matt, for that. Always good to have Matt here, who does get very proactive and is very good and very proactive with his comments on statistics and things, and I need to do a bit more of that myself. But when you got a lot of other things that you need to get to, sometimes you don't cover all the bases, and that's why it's good to have a team here, a team of Watford supporters who do help out. Matt is certainly one of those, and thank you, Matt, as ever, for your contributions during these post matches and the pre-matches that we do as well. We didn't do a pre-match today. I actually woke up this morning literally 2 minutes before the start of this match. So that tells you I've had a week of birthday celebration, and yesterday was no exception to that. And so as a result, a late night out, and of course, a late start to the day, but not missing this Watford match for the world, I'll tell you that. Let's read out the rest of your comments then on the You ORNS Watford FC post-match here live on YouTube at youornswfc. Please subscribe, won't you? It'd be greatly appreciated. Matt continues, just researched, and Doumbia has been named in Mali's Africa Cup of Nations squad, but Mama has not been selected in Morocco's final squad for the Africa Cup of Nations. Thank you again, Matt. You see, I wasn't even clear on that. So Matt, keeping us honest once again. Matt, thank you very much indeed. Doumbia will be off for that Cup of Nations, which will last a month. So we will see how he fares. Wish him the best. Mama will be with us, which will be good. And we will look at that, of course. Thank you. Jono says, in pain, Omar. Jono George on YouTube here live says, in pain, Omar. Yeah, Jono, it's a tough one, isn't it? This is a tough one today. You can't be upset with the performance, though. You know, at least we improved performance-wise over the game against Wednesday, where we were absolutely shambolic. But it's a different feeling, isn't it? Because we still didn't get the 3 points. The feeling's different because we're not disgusted. We're just sickened and heartbroken today. It's a different kind of feeling from the game against Wednesday. Even though we got a point in both games, the emotion's different because there was a bit of relief on Tuesday, but there was a lot of aggravation and disappointment about Tuesday because we should have won the game outright, and we just didn't play well enough to deserve to win the game outright. But today we did. We did play well enough to deserve the game outright. We really did. But we just couldn't finish it off. But then again, I toss and turn here with this because I don't have a problem with the 2-2. I have a problem with the conceding a late goal. That's what I have a problem with. Our performance was very good today. Much, much better than it was Tuesday night against Wednesday. Much better. Much better. And if we had played this way on Tuesday night, we would have beaten that Wednesday team. A team that's playing with basically no wages. And we would have beaten them. And I said on Tuesday night, if we play like this again on Saturday against Wrexham, we're going to get tonked. And we thankfully did not play like this again against Wrexham today. Thankfully, we didn't. And we fell behind for the 4th or 5th consecutive game. But we absolutely kept a really good methodical game plan going. And that's what I loved about the performance today. What I didn't love was obviously the 92nd minute goal, obviously. We just did not do enough there. Sometimes there's not much you can do about shots like that. But again, I will have to watch the game again because I can watch the game again. Probably watch it in a few minutes. I might watch it while I'm doing my writing for Substack. But we just didn't do enough there. You've got to put your body on the line. And I know that there's risks of handball, but you've got to block. You've got to block as best you can. I know it's hard. It's difficult. But if we could get a block in there, it would have really been an important statement there. We still have to defend it out for 3 or 4 more minutes. In fact, the game went into the 98th minute, I think. And so, there was a lot of injury time. We've got to keep focused there. We really did do well defensively overall. I thought we worked very hard defensively across the pitch, team-wide, individually wide, and though we did get burned on that first goal that Wrexham scored, that was Bola. Bola did not stay close to his man, and you had a Wrexham player alone in space, and he just drove the ball home. And that means that the defending needs to be tighter. Bola needed to stay tighter to his man there. So, that's a problem. But Elaine was excellent. Abanqua was excellent. The double A boys, Elaine and Abanqua, they did very well. Very well today. I don't have a problem with what they did. They played well. Very well. Pollock again did what he had to do and did it well. Pollock's gone on a good run here now, Matty Pollock. He's on a good run. Very good run. And, that's going to only increase the confidence for him. I thought he was terrific in the game against Wednesday. I thought he was very good against Norwich. I think that these games, you're seeing Matty Pollock really come into his own. He had a slow start. He come off the injury, slow start to the season, building and building and building. And so I like what Matty Pollock's delivering for us. But yeah, Jono, it's a rough one, isn't it? Really thought we had these points in the bag, or at least I thought we were going to get over the line. I didn't think the points were in the bag. Let me take that back. I didn't think the points were going to be in the bag, but I thought that we had been doing everything right to get ourselves in the position where we would close the game out. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Alas, we didn't quite get there. Didn't quite get over the hump. at the end. But this is a good learning lesson for us. We are in the right way. You really want to see a performance improve, and you obviously want to see the win. But if you can't have both, at least show some signs of improvement. And that's what you at least see under Javi. He's bringing you signs of improvement. You got to understand that half these players ain't played in England before. You got to also understand we've got a vastly different squad. We made a lot of changes in the summer. A lot of these players are a lot younger, and they're learning, which is good. If you're younger, you can have an opportunity to learn. Your learning curve goes up, right? It's a lot clearer, and it's a lot better, right? You've got a good opportunity to expand and learn and grow. You don't see many of these veteran players coming to these games anymore. And that's actually a good thing at times. It was a good thing today. Sissoko came on late, right? Sissoko came on late in the game. And that's good. That means that you're doing something right. Now, I know that I think it was Brad on X again who was saying that it was a ridiculous decision to bring on both Kevin and Sissoko at the end, but I disagreed with him. And I said at the time, and you heard it here if you were watching on You ORNS YouTube post match with Watford, is that the manager there is looking for game management. He's going to get veteran players, or at least a veteran player in Sissoko, and to spell tired legs. He wants fresh legs in. That's fair. I got no problem with that. That's a fair assessment. That's a fair thing for the manager to do. I have no problem with bringing on Sissoko late there. Steady the game. I mean, again, excuse me, pardon me. He is not the reason that Watford conceded the goal. He's not. It was not an individual error that was responsible for the Watford for the conceding of the goal. It was a team-wide thing. We just did not do the proper clearing of the ball. And I'm sure that what's going to happen in the game, excuse me, in the training room, whether it's tomorrow, I don't know if they're going to get a day off tomorrow or not. They probably will after 2 games in 5 days. But what you will see probably Monday, if not tomorrow, these players are going to have a film room session, and that last 5 minutes or that injury time, that whole injury time is going to be shown to them again. You better believe it. And the Wrexham goal is going to be shown to them. The first Wrexham goal is going to be shown to them again. And Bowler's going to cringe at that one because he got beat pretty bad. Did not stay with his man. He got beat pretty bad. It was a good run from the Wrexham player. You got to give him credit. But Bowler's got to stick with his man there. And Bowler, I'm glad he didn't get sent off. It was not a sending off, but Bowler there wisely kept his head. Remember the game against Wednesday, Mama had a yellow card, and then he almost got a second one. And then Javi took him off at halftime in the game against Wednesday. Yeah, you can understand that. Bowler, thankful, did not get taken off this game. I thought he was very effective. Bowler's been really strong. And Ngaki did not play this game. I haven't mentioned him because he didn't play due to sickness. That's what the Watford FC social media channel said about him. So Jeremy Ngaki is catching a bit of what we've probably all had, a bit of sickness as we have this time of year with the flu and all the rest of it, stomach bugs and flus. I mean, I had a cold recently. I'm just getting over my cold, having traveled from New York City in the last week or so. And so, when you're traveling back and you have cold weather like you do in New York at the minute, and cold weather like you do out here in San Francisco, and cold weather like you do across many parts of the world, including the United Kingdom, you're going to get colds. I mean, and as long as you take care of your stuff, but you're still going to get colds and things. That happens. Get your flu shot, though, if you haven't. I had a flu shot and I still got a cold. So, that just happens. But anyway, Jeremy Ngaki out with sickness. So let's hope that he's back. I would expect that he'd be back when we come to this coming Saturday. I should mention Georgie as well. Georgie came into the game as a sub late on. I thought he did well. He did some good cleanup play in midfield in our defensive third. I thought he was good. Georgie came on and made a good impression. And Georgie's minutes are going to be managed in these games. He's going to start some of the games and he's going to not start some of the games. I expect he'll probably start the game on Saturday against Stoke. I think that will happen. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. African Cup of Nations is an issue. So Dumbia is going to be out probably in that game. whenever the AFCON begins. It might be next week or the end of next week, or maybe the beginning of the week after that. But they'll be out for a month or so. So you've got to look at that. Marmouth still with us. That would be good. So we'll do with what we can. We'll make do with what we've got here as far as that goes. So, Jono, yeah, it's a painful one today. But I think what you can take heart in, perhaps, Jono, is the performance. At least we improved our performance to go away from home and acquit ourselves well against the Wrexham side, who were very difficult to deal with, a newly promoted side. And I know you don't really, it's now mid-December. To say newly promoted about Wrexham now, it's kind of you really don't say that after September's gone by, because now they're established, at least established in the season, as obviously a championship side. But still, Wrexham have done a good job this season. They got good owners, good co-owners, famous co-owners. They got a lot of good investment there, Wrexham. And that's a solid club. They'll get an improvement because they're trying to build up that side of their ground, which we saw was under construction, and I'm sure that will be up in another year or so. They've got good investment and a good solid nucleus there, Wrexham, and Wrexham are not going to go down. They're going to be safe. Wrexham will be safe this season. There's no problem with that, for me saying that. So if any Wrexham fan happens to come across this, they can take heart in that. I think you'll be all right this season, Wrexham. So good performances. They've got good players there at Wrexham. Obviously, their substitute really hurt us today. Very, very painful. So, Jono, I'm with you on that, mate. Very painful today. But we'll get through it. And hopefully we'll get a better result against Stoke, because we need to start picking up wins in these games. We're not losing these games, at least, but we just need to get 3 points out of these games. Harvey at least has stayed. One thing you can say about Watford under Harvey is that he has begun to stabilize things, and the results and the performances are better overall. There are some issues when we have poor performances, of course, with Wednesday and whatnot, but at least what we're seeing is a bit more stability and a bit more fluency in some of these performances, and the form book is turning well for us. Unbeaten in our last 3, just 1 defeat in our last 9. That's the longest stretch this season where we've enjoyed that. So you've got to look at that too. You've got to keep that going. And we just need to keep learning. This is a young squad. It will keep learning. And that's how we do this as well. So thank you very much indeed for the comment there, Jono. Matt says, for me, I thought Kayembe was lucky not to get a yellow in the first half when he pushed the Wrexham sub that was warming up, that was messing around with the ball when it went off for a throw-in. Yeah, Matt, that was one. Kayembe was fortunate there. And Kayembe is a veteran footballer. He's got to be a little bit more careful and a bit smarter about that. Because, again, this referee let a lot go today. I think the referee, not that he let a lot go, Matt, but I think the referee today used his discretion wisely. And he assessed the tempo and the temperature of the game. I thought referee did a really good job today, actually. I think the referee assessed the temperature of the game very well, and he got it right. He didn't fall and succumb to all of the Wrexham fans who were baying for blood with Bola, and he didn't succumb to sending off Kiefer Moore. I think that would have been a very popular thing to do, and it would have been expected, but you cannot take the Bola situation and not also look at the Kiefer Moore situation. Bola was right to stay on the pitch. He got the ball, and it was a late follow through. Okay, the follow through was what it was. Referee made a good call there, and I think the referee in the one with Kiefer Moore, and some Watford fans might disagree with me as a fellow Watford supporter on this, I think the referee got that right as well. Yeah, it was really nasty. It was. The boot was up. It was high, and yes, in the Premier League or in really on any day of the week, that's probably a sending off. It probably is, actually. Probably is. But I had no problem with the referee's judgment there, because I honestly think it was a 50-50 situation. And sometimes in 50-50 situations, you do have a high boot. Sometimes you do. And I don't think that Kiefer Moore, again, I know intent really doesn't matter a lot in a lot of these things. It's about what you see in front of you. And I understand that, but I'm going to buck the trend here. And I'm not just doing it to do this. I'm doing it because it's my honest assessment. I think Kiefer Moore should have stayed on the pitch, and I'm glad that he did, quite frankly, because it was a good contest. It was a good contest between Pollock and Kiefer Moore all day long, and you want to see that. You do. I mean, yeah, would we love it to have 11 versus 10 in favor of us? Of course. But we've had problems playing against 10 men, and a lot of teams do. Sometimes 10 men is harder to play against when you're playing against 11 because the 10 men make it difficult for you and they bear down and they make it harder. So, it's right to have stayed 11 versus 11. I got no problem with the Kiefer Moore situation there. Pollock dived in where most defenders fear to tread. I got no problem with that. It's a 50-50 English football challenge. If this was La Liga, he would have been sent off. If this was Serie A, he's sent off. And again, in the Premier League, there's a case to be made. There'd be some refs that would send them off. And as Matt pointed out earlier, we've seen referees send off players for less. We have. And usually it's Watford players that get sent off for less. But I've got no problem with the ref there. Kayembe was lucky, though, Matt. Kayembe was lucky because that was a foolish play. We've got to stop giving up foolish challenges. Foolish decisions. Foolish plays, foolish fouls. We've got to cut that out our game, right? That's what we've got to do. As long as we do that, we're going to be all right, and we'll start to make playoff pushes. I'm telling you. I still think Watford are going to make the playoffs, despite the results lately. If you've got to look at the overall scheme of things, 1 defeat in the last 9, you've got to look at that. We were very good today. You've got to look at 3 unbeaten. Yes, we only had 1 win in them 3, but the point is that we're picking up points. We are picking up points, and you cannot begrudge that. Jono says, sure, Omar, we are attracted to watch, and happy birthday, top 6. Thank you, Jono. Appreciate that. Thank you for those birthday wishes. And the Watford Way, happy belated birthday. Omar, thank you, Watford Way, for those belated birthday wishes. Indeed, yes, indeed. Enjoyed the birthday. I'm still celebrating it, which is why I got up late today. Which is why there was no Watford, which is why there was no You ORNS Watford FC pre-match, because I got up too blooming late. Because I was out too late last night, having a good time, and enjoying the birthday celebrations. Week-long celebrations, and we'll continue those, by the way, into this weekend ahead of Christmas. But thank you very much for Watford supporters. We've gone a bit past the extra 10 or so minutes I was promising, but here we are. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, for listening, for participating, for your comments here on the You ORNS Watford FC post-match live on YouTube. To those of you on X as well who may have watched here as well, thank you very much for doing so. The final score again was Wrexham 2, Watford 2 from North Wales. A very strong and very effective away performance for the Golden Boys, but we just could not see it over the line as we concede late on, 92nd minute. Oh, God. Heartbroken as Rathbone sneaks in with a shot through a lot of bodies into the back of the Watford net late on. Really hurts us there, but we are still in the hunt. 5 points off the playoffs, but still in a good way. 1 defeat in the last 9. We're on to the Vic this coming next weekend, I should say, a week from today, against the likes of Stoke City, who started out like a house on fire, but are now just outside the playoff spots. And now we need to win this game against Stoke now. We need to get a quality game in. We need to win against Stoke to get ourselves going again here as we push for the Christmas period now, because that game essentially is going to be the beginning of the Christmas fixtures, which will probably have 5 games of those in the next 15 days plus. So we are going to have to be really on our game to take care of Stoke on Saturday week. Excuse me. The final score, Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Matt, thank you. He says, hope you had an amazing birthday. I did, Matt. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate your birthday wishes as well. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You have been watching the You ORNS Watford FC post-match live here on YouTube with yours truly, Omar, from San Francisco, California. Wherever you are in the world, thank you very much indeed. Be well, be safe, be healthy, take care, and of course, get ready for all the Christmas shopping if you haven't done it. Complete your Christmas shopping if you believe in Christmas or if you're into that kind of thing. Please get your shopping done and do it safely. Mail off your Christmas cards too, because now, you know, the Christmas post can be tricky. So you want to get today, really is really the last day I would say, before you can really, to mail off your parcels, mail off your packages, mail off your Christmas cards and all the rest. In fact, I'm going to be doing mine today as well. And I will be writing right after this on Substack. So please subscribe to You ORNS WFC, the number one.substack.com. Take care, everybody. And until next Saturday, when Watford take on Stoke at the Vic, have a good day, everyone. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Watford weekend.